Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today, we're going to talk about Bitcoin, and we're going to be doing an update on the bull market support band. Now, unfortunately, we did not have this update last week, so I am sorry for not providing that. I wanted to wait a little bit until we got the monthly close. Now we have the monthly close, so we're also going to do a video where we show the monthly close for Bitcoin, where we also show the bull market support band, and then just look at a few important levels for Bitcoin. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and also check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below. Remember to check out the premium list. You can find a link to that in the description below as well, if you want to know how I am navigating these markets. Let's go ahead and jump in. So, the bull market support band, for those that are new, consists namely of the 20-week simple moving average and the 21-week exponential moving average. And these are the two moving averages that historically we would like for them to hold support so that we can really get the show started. And we discussed this at length last year. And we even discussed it before when we actually saw the 20-week break multiple times. Okay, we saw it break more than once. And one of the things we can look at is say, when we broke above the 20-week moving average over here in 2019, we did not test the 20-week until about half a year later. Okay, we broke above it in April and we tested it in September, so almost half a year. And unfortunately at that time, we failed to hold it as support. The second attempt came right here in January of 2020, and we failed to hold it as support in March during the pandemic drop. Okay, the third attempt, we broke through it right here in April of 2020. And then what happened? This is what we said. When we were right here, we said, hey guys, a test of the 20-week would be ideal before that move, right? It would be ideal. Now, we didn't have to have it, right? It's not like we can't imagine an alternative history where the price just did something like this, okay? It's certainly possible that could have happened. But what we said was that if we test it, not that we have to test it, but that if we test it and we hold it as support, then what it shows the market is strong. Because even during a 20% drop, back to the 20-week SMA or the 21-week EMA, if we can hold it as support, it generally provides the bulls with a lot of confidence to continue the show, okay? If you go back to the last cycle, there were plenty of times where we came back down to the bull market support band. This is where we always found support. And when we found support at those levels, the bulls took advantage and ultimately pushed the prices higher. Eventually, we got too far gone and we were unable to hold it. Ideally speaking, in a bull market, the best thing, in my opinion, would be to test it every 2 to 3 months. So go up a little bit, come back down, say, all right, we're good, great, let's go higher. That's ideally speaking. We don't always get what we want, but that would be the ideal scenario. If we go too long without testing it, then the danger is getting too far gone to hold it whenever we do test it. For instance, in 2019, we were too far gone. It should have been too long since we tried to hold it. We were at valuations so much higher than the last time we moved above it. We were not able to hold it. We held it here, and it led to an insane rally. Now, we did not have any subsequent tests of the 20-week during this run. It's not like we came up and then came back down. We didn't do anything like that. And therefore, what happened? Again, we were too far gone to hold it. So ideally speaking, for Bitcoin to say go to 100K, which is ultimately what many of us would like to see, I would argue that it would be better for us to test it than to not test it. And some might assume that means we have to test it. It's not that we have to. I don't think anyone should necessarily be waiting for something like that to happen before they own any Bitcoin. I think that would probably be somewhat irresponsible, no matter what happens from here. But I would say that testing it and holding it as support for a number of weeks generally provides a lot of confidence in the market. For instance, right now, there's a ton of people calling for major drops back down to say $10,000. And I honestly think that a $10,000 Bitcoin is never going to happen again. I don't think 10K is possible at all. Now, we could drop back down. I'm not saying we can't go back down and test some of the levels we were testing this past summer. That is certainly possible, but I don't think we're going to go back down to, say, $10,000 and spend a couple of years at those levels. I really don't think that. So when we look at this, one of the things that would provide a lot of confidence to the market is if we are able to hold support at the bull market support band sometime in the next couple of months, and then we start moving higher, then I think what it's going to do is probably convert a lot of Bitcoin bears to Bitcoin bulls, because then they're going to say, well, we actually did hold it as support, and therefore it looks like the market's trending back higher. Looks like we're negating some of the other types of analysis that people have done to try to show why Bitcoin has to go back to $10,000. Okay, so I do think it would actually be fairly healthy for the market. The only issue now is it actually going to happen? And in order for us to go back to those levels today, which again, it's changing every single week. So the values I give you today are going to be different than the values I might give you next week or the week after. Okay, they're not changing that much from week to week, but they do change. So right now, the 20-week estimate is coming in at a very modest $42,061. The 21-week EMA is coming in at a humble $42,679. So they're basically right between $42,000 to $43,000, which actually happens to be close to the prior local top that we had back in January of 2021. Now, if we do test it, let's say within the next couple of months, then you should know going into it that there will be a lot of fearful people at the time, okay? And the reason is because many of them may have just FOMO'd in everything at whatever the local top could be before a retest of that moving average. And if we are able to hold it as support, it probably will actually have to take place over several weeks. Probably not something that's going to happen on just a single day, but a multi-week test of the 20-week, like we did it over here back in September. We started in late August and it ran through the beginning of October, a test of the 20-week before we were ultimately able to trend higher going into early October. So I look at this chart and my personal preference is that we test the 20-week, we hold it as support, and then Bitcoin is just off to the races. This would be my personal preference. But unfortunately, I don't always get what I want, right? And I have to understand that, and I have to operate in a non-deterministic manner, because if I operate in a deterministic manner, then it can't allow the market to just leave you behind. Okay. Again, people in 2019 who waited for a 20-week test before having any Bitcoin would have missed out on this move. Okay. And that's something that is not a good feeling if you're waiting for the 20-week and then it doesn't test. So one way to think about it is if we do get a test of the 20-week and you're confident that the price of Bitcoin is going to trend higher for the next several months, then coming out to help hold the line at the 20-week would probably be a good strategy. If we're unable to hold it, which is certainly a possibility, my speculation would be that we just need 3 more months. Okay, back in May, I said, hey guys, I think we need 3 to 6 months of a bearish time in the market before we can really resume the uptrend. Okay, and I said that once we broke the 20-week moving average. And if you look, we got 13 weeks before we got back above the 20-week moving average. You can actually see this a little bit better if we go to this indicator here, the log of the price over the 20-week. So we had this period here of 3 months of bearish times in the market. And I really don't know if we need another 3 months or not. My speculation was just 3 to 6 months, and I can't really give any further guidance other than that to say we already had 3 months. Maybe we need another 3 months in the event that the 20-week doesn't hold. But even if it doesn't hold, I would argue that would just lead to a better accumulation phase, another accumulation phase before I would think an inevitable 6-figure Bitcoin this market cycle. Okay. So the other thing I want to look at, we want to look at monthly closes. Okay. And I think this is actually somewhat interesting. And the reason is because you can see that we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months in a row that were green, followed by 3 red months. And now we're currently in our 3rd green month. Of course, September just started. We really don't know where it's going to end. If you're curious, September opened at a very modest $47,124. And we do know that historically September is not the best month. March is also not historically a good month, but this past March it did fairly well, going up approximately 30%. So what I would say is that if Bitcoin does get a pullback to the 20-week, the resumption to the upside could be not that far away if we're able to hold it, okay? And if we don't hold it, I think 3 more months, right? I just think 3 more months, and we should be good to go by that time. Looking at the market right now, one of the interesting things I was looking at, and we talked about this in the Bitcoin Beauty of Mathematics video from several months ago, were the 2-month candles. And some of the similarities, we've painted out a lot of that. We've shown you guys a lot of the similarities between this cycle and 2 cycles ago. We first started noticing those similarities back in December of 2020. If you go watch the Beauty of Mathematics series and go look back at what was going on in September or in December. We first noticed it in December of 2020. But one of the interesting things is if you look at 2-month candles, we actually had 9 2-month candles in a row that were green in 2013. And then we also had 9 2-month candles that were green here, and this was actually starting in 2011, going into 2013. This one started in 2020, going into early 2021. And then following 9 2-month green candles in a row, we had a red one. And this red one only took us nominally below where the prior candle had gone. This one took us further down. The following candle took us right back up to the prior local top on the 2-month candle time frame, not the actual wick. And then the following month we were able to push higher, and then in November we pushed even higher. A lot of people I think a lot of people misrepresent Bitcoin's market cycle peaks, and they say that it always happens in December. That's actually not true, right? It's not true. Bitcoin it had a peak in the summer of 2011. It had a peak in November of 2013, not December, right? It was November. And then it had a peak in December of 2017, right? And you can see these a little bit better on 1-month candles. Okay, so let me show you on 1-month candles. So on 1-month candles, you can see this peak was in June of 2011. This one here, which this bar had a slight wick higher, actually occurred in November. Right, this wick here was slightly higher. It occurred in November of 2013. This one was December of 2017. And so far, we are trending back up. Now, if Bitcoin were to go to 6 figures by the end of the year, then it certainly is possible that our market cycle peak would be in and we would not experience lengthening cycles. At this phase, I still think we need some flexibility to see how the next couple of months pan out in order to see what's happening. If we're looking at it in real time in December and the price of Bitcoin is 150K, I will take that into consideration. I would speculate, though, that it's more likely to continue on into 2022, and so that's a good perspective to have to say be flexible on exactly when the market cycle peak would be in. Again, I have my thinking on it, but what I would say is that no matter what I think, when the time comes, we will show the data for what it is, right? We will show the data for what it is. So, that basically covers a lot of what we want to talk about, right? We talked about the bull market support band. We know that it's ranging now between $42,000 to $43,000. We've talked about the monthly close on Bitcoin going into September. The monthly open for September is around 47.1K. And in order for the month of September to be green, we just need to close above $47,124. So if we're closing above that, then we're likely then we're going to have another green month in a row, which would ultimately be a green month for September. But let's see how things turn out. We know the bull market support band is not even that far away. If we were to take a measured move to it, and just kind of speculate on where it is and what it would look like if we did go back to those levels, then what it could look like would be, it would just be about a 14 or 15% drop, which really isn't that bad. I mean, in the grand scheme of crypto, that's not even that bad if we are going to get that drop. It would actually be fairly similar to what we got back over here in August, September of 2020. From that local top, we got about a 20% drop down to the 20-week moving average. In order for us to get, say, a 20% drop to the 20-week moving average, we would actually need to go up slightly higher than we currently are. Maybe we'd be looking at closer to a $51,000 or $52,000 Bitcoin, and also noticing that the 20-week estimate is currently decreasing. But if we were to go up to, say, 51 to 52K, and then we did drop back to the bull market support band and hopefully held it as support, then that would actually be a 20% drop, very similar, in fact, to what happened in 2020. So, market right now, Bitcoin's trading for just shy of $50,000. The bull market support band isn't that far away. I think the way to look at the market is to say, to be prepared for anything. If we go up now, you need to be happy with that. And if we drop, then look at the opportunity and see, will we hold the bull market support band as support or not? And if we do, then we should be off to the races. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and also check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below. Remember to check out the premium list. You can find a link to that in the description below as well. Make sure you subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, click the bell icon to turn on your notifications, and I will see you next time. Bye.